My second speaker this evening is Rory Sutherland, who I'm sure a lot of you know from his blogs on Brown Republic. But he's the vice chairman of the Ogilvy Group. So here you go. Pass me on.
Right. Thank you very much indeed. One good thing about a recession is it certainly reawakens people's enthusiasm for any event that involves networking and free drink. The turnout today, I think, is a testament to the economic climate in which we exist. I simply have for you, very, very simply, a three-point plan to solve all our problems for the future. The first one, is anybody doing any press advertising at the moment? If so, stop it now. My suggestion to Group M, which is the WPP kind of mafia that control probably 50% of UK media buying, is that we should simply refuse to spend any money on newspaper advertising at all until the bastards cheer the fuck up. On the very simple grounds that there's not much point in spending £35,000 on a single page in a newspaper which says, buy some shit, if all we're doing with that money is paying for 40 journalists to write articles next to it saying, don't buy any shit at all. Don't buy shit, for God's sake, because you're all going to die and you'll probably starve really soon. So the first thing is boycott all newspaper advertising. I know this because I once went to Malaysia, and I spent a really cheerful 3 or 4 days reading a thing called the New Straits Times, which is the kind of Malaysian equivalent of the Straits Times in Singapore. And after about 4 days sitting in my hotel room reading this, I did some other stuff as well. I said to the people at the agency, I said, it's a great country, this, isn't it? Everything's getting better. So they're building a new road to the airport, which is going to reduce congestion. They're building a new runway. That's really good too, isn't it? And apparently the crime rate's falling. And he said, yeah, the only thing is, he said, the newspaper is actually completely written by the government. Well, I said, I don't really mind. I said, it's really cheerful. After I said, you know, actually, they can lie to me as much as they like, as long as it cheers me the fuck up. And it was wonderful. I nearly stayed there, actually. So the first thing you can do is actually refuse to advertise in the British press if they insist in actually undoing all your good work. Because the problem is, we in the advertising industry are now sole suppliers of optimism to the UK economy since 2009. And no one else is actually providing any kind of cheer at all. Although we can, as Patrick said, with ingenuity, we can overcome these things. The most fantastic example I heard from today is Hyundai in the United States, under the line, I think, of we're in this together, has a new offer on a new Hyundai car, which is if you go and buy one and lose your job in the next 12 months, you can take it back and get a full refund. Now, I have to say, I think that's a fantastic piece of marketing. If the one reason people aren't buying new cars is actually fear of redundancy, what better idea could you have? So my first idea is actually boycott dismal media and refuse to advertise in them. You're only encouraging them. Second thing is take some recruitment money and put it to one side and spend it on young talent. We're in danger here of having what you might call a lost generation, because everybody actually holds on to jobs. No one actually employs the inexperienced, the new, the fresh for the next 4 or 5 years, and a whole generation of talent of the kind that we've seen earlier today, and Blue Skies have very, very kindly looked after earlier today, gets squandered. That would be an absolute tragedy. So take some of your recruitment money and put it to one side and say, can we ring-fence this for new talent as well as just poaching old? Hugely valuable thing, because you will be able to get in the next 5 years far better talent than you could get in the previous 5. One of the great things if you're after account people is you no longer actually have to put up with account people who are secretly regretting the fact they didn't get a job at Goldman Sachs. In fact, one of our new graduates, one of the interesting things about our graduates is they're actually overjoyed that they're not working in financial services, including one of them who had a colleague at university who's one of those world's unluckiest man. His start to his working life was actually getting stuck by the bankruptcy of XL Airways. So he got trapped at Athens airport for 3 days and missed his first 2 days of work at Lehman Brothers. I think I'm glad we didn't hire him. I prefer to hire lucky people by and large. But the opportunity is to find talent and to exploit talent over the next 2 or 3 years will be extraordinarily good. You know, in many ways, recessions are very good for the imagination. They're also very, very good for picking up interesting people. And I think it'd be really tremendous. There's a great phrase, never waste a crisis. And it'd be a real shame if we actually wasted that opportunity to bring fresh talent into the business by simply recycling our own. So what Blue Skies are doing today, I think, is hugely valuable. The third job is very simple, which is to actually, as I said, to spread optimism. And there's one thing that occurs to me we've never done over the last 5, 6, 7 years. We suddenly have this extraordinary new plethora of media opportunities available to us. If you look round, you look at all the work on the walls, probably a minority of this work counts as conventional advertising, whereas 5 to 10 years ago, most of it would have been recognisably some form of advertising. Most of this stuff has been built, however, by what is an inherently pessimistic approach to our business, which is to say, don't spend so much money on that, do a bit of this. So every single bit of money that's been spent on search engine optimization, or has been spent on banners, or has been spent on intelligent online promotion, all the new media that have come along have effectively cannibalized existing spend. So what we've actually done is we've never had the confidence to say, spend more overall. Now the interesting thing is, if you look at consumer behavior over the last 10 years, what consumers have done over the last 10 years is perhaps 10 years ago, a typical consumer's media expenditure might have been £15 to £20 a month. They didn't pay for television apart from a licence fee, which was a few pounds a month. They probably had a phone at home. That was about it 15 years ago. What consumers have done quite sensibly is they've realised you now have broadband, you now have mobile phones, you now have pay television, you now have DVD rental, you now have computer games, you now have handheld games. You now have 15 times more ways of actually entertaining yourselves. And consumers have taken the perfectly rational reaction to this of spending more on media. So the typical consumer now probably spends 10 times as much on entertainment and informational media as they did 10 to 15 years ago. Our client base spends in relative terms exactly the same or less. So if I can ask the third thing, as I said, as a recipe for actually getting out of this as fast as we possibly can, boycott the press, hire new and fresh talent, but the third thing is actually simply a vocabulary change, which is to use the phrase as well instead of the phrase instead. We suddenly have hundreds of new opportunities available to us. It's not totally insane for us to say to our clients, why don't you also try X, instead of assuming that every single new thing should come at the expense of something old. I'm sure there are more than those 3 things, but I think 3 things is a good start to be getting along with. So thank you very much indeed, and thank you, Blue Skies.
Thank you very much, Rory. Everyone, enjoy the evening. Make sure you get around and look at everyone's work. It's amazing. So enjoy your evening and grab a Blue Skies consultant as well. So thank you.